If you're a man, at some point in your adult life, you may hit a point where you ask the question, is my testosterone level normal? Maybe you felt fatigued, overworked, find it harder to lose weight or to build muscle. Maybe your libido is low. And because of these things, you've asked yourself, is testosterone replacement what I need? If so, you also likely had questions as to whether it's safe or not, or whether it's a panacea, as it's often touted on the internet, for every ailment under the sun. One year, people are saying it's totally safe and everyone should be on it. Next year, you're hearing it causes heart attacks and strokes. So today I want to talk about where we are with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and dive into what the current research is showing. I'll put the links for these papers down in the description below if you want to read them yourself, but I'll try to clear the mist off the windshield a bit. I want to tell you where we are with testosterone replacement in men right now, what we really know, what we don't know, and what the potential red flags are. Then I want to pivot and talk about women, because testosterone, believe it or not, matters to women as well. But the rules for them are different, and that's an important distinction to understand. But let's start with men. Over the years, I can't tell you how many times I've had guys come into the ER with either chest pain or shortness of breath, and at some point in time while I'm taking their history, almost as an afterthought, they say something like, oh, and also I've been on testosterone for the past 6 months. It's often casual, just like another supplement they're taking. So when I hear this, I generally ask, what in particular is your doctor treating you for? Low T, weight gain, depression, fatigue? And then they'll often say, I got it online, or I went to one of those men's health clinics at the mall. Then I'll ask, well, who's monitoring you? To which I often hear, no one really. I haven't actually seen a doctor. And right there is a big problem, a big red flag. Testosterone isn't the devil, but it's also not a vitamin or a casual supplement. It's a powerful hormone that can often help the right person, but only when it's used for the right reason and at the right dose with consistent, intentional follow-up. For men, the biggest red cloud over testosterone replacement has been the fear of heart attacks and stroke. And for a long time, that fear was so loud that a lot of men who possibly might have benefited from treatment were actually scared away. And a lot of doctors became very conservative about prescribing it at all. Then a major study came along, a landmark trial called Traverse, and it changed the conversation about testosterone and heart risk. Traverse was a large randomized trial designed to answer the big question. In men who have low testosterone with symptoms, does testosterone therapy increase risk of major cardiac events? The key takeaway from Traverse was that major cardiovascular events were similar between the testosterone group and the placebo group. It didn't show an increase in the big scary outcomes that many people were worried about. Now, that doesn't mean that testosterone is risk-free. It means we finally have stronger evidence to guide smarter decisions. In 2025, the FDA updated the labeling for testosterone products. Black box warnings were removed. The messaging shifted away from broad fear language, and it leaned more into practical monitoring, especially where blood pressure was concerned. In other words, the conversation evolved and it matured. And that leads us to the current real-world approach in men. Testosterone therapy, as of 2025, the focus is on diagnosis and not casual vibes. It should be guided by symptoms that match low testosterone, plus at least 2 separate morning testosterone levels that are clearly low and diagnostic, not a single random afternoon lab after a bad night's sleep. And it should be paired with smart monitoring, keeping levels in normal range, watching red blood cell concentration or hematocrit, appropriate PSA, prostate-specific antigen monitoring for age and risk, and now paying closer attention to blood pressure as well. Again, this 2025 review basically summarizes the modern approach. Confirm the diagnosis, pick the right delivery method, and monitor things like you mean business. Now, let's pivot and talk about women, because this is where the internet gets loud and unclear. Testosterone has been branded as a male hormone, estrogen as the female hormone. That's simple, it's catchy, but it's not really true. Women make testosterone too, and it plays a role in sexual desire. It may play roles in other parts of female health as well. And just like men, women's testosterone levels decline with age, and some women feel that decline. So after proper evaluation, there's good evidence that testosterone can help certain postmenopausal women with persistent, distressing, low sexual desire, what clinicians call hypoactive sexual desire disorder, or HSDD. But outside that lane, the evidence gets less clear where testosterone applies in the therapy of overall women's health. Some women report better mood, more energy, better strength, and improvement in brain fog, but the strongest consensus still keeps the evidence-based guidelines for treatment in a pretty narrow lane. And one big practical problem in the US is that there still isn't an FDA-approved testosterone product that's specifically made for women. That makes dosing more complicated, and it's one reason we see so much inconsistency in how it's prescribed to female patients. This article makes a strong argument that women's testosterone health has been under-recognized and undertreated. Whether someone agrees with every claim or not, it captures why women are increasingly asking about testosterone and why so many clinics are now offering it. Now let's talk about something that always makes people nervous: blood clot. Now this is where I want you to lean in, because this is one of the most important don't be casual parts of testosterone therapy. This internal medicine study from 2019 in JAMA looked specifically at venous clots, deep vein thrombosis, and pulmonary embolism, and it found an association between being prescribed testosterone and higher short-term risk of blood clots. The way the study was designed is fairly interesting. It compared men to themselves over different windows of time to reduce the problem of comparing two totally different types of people. And what they saw was basically this: the risk signal looked strongest early on, especially in the first few months after starting testosterone therapy. This article found testosterone prescriptions were associated with a higher short-term clot risk, especially early after starting. And that's why good monitoring isn't optional, and it should absolutely be mandatory, period. Now, I want to be careful here. That study was observational. It shows an association, not a guaranteed cause. It doesn't mean that every man on testosterone is going to develop a blood clot, and it doesn't mean that testosterone is unsafe across the board, but it does mean something very practical. The first few months after starting testosterone isn't the time to be sloppy, because here's what happens in real life. Some men get started on testosterone without a real diagnosis, at higher than warranted doses, without follow-up labs, and without anyone watching hematocrit or red blood cell concentration or blood pressure for that matter. And if that man has sleep apnea, smokes, gets dehydrated, travels a lot, sits a lot, recently had surgery of some kind, has an increased genetic clotting risk, recognized or not, or has a prior history of blood clots, or any combination of the above, now you're stacking risk on top of risk. And that's when testosterone becomes less like hormone replacement and more like playing with a torch in a fireworks stand. So let me wrap this up with the practical takeaway. If you're a man who truly has low testosterone plus symptoms, low sex drive, erectile dysfunction, extreme fatigue, loss of muscle mass and strength, increased body fat, testosterone therapy might be reasonable, and modern research has addressed a lot of the scary stuff. But it should be treated like real medicine, because it is. Correct diagnosis, physiologic goals, and real monitoring. If you're a male without low testosterone who just wants to feel younger, leaner, or more alpha, that's the group where the risk-benefit math gets worse really fast. For women, testosterone may be appropriate for a very specific group, especially postmenopausal women with low sexual desire resulting in emotional distress. But the broader claims online are often much more bold for women than the evidence actually suggests. So I want to be super clear. If you're on testosterone or thinking about starting, don't do this flying alone in the dark. Know your baseline testosterone level. Know your dose and your target range. Monitor your blood pressure regularly. Your hematocrit, your red blood cell concentration, needs to be monitored closely and consistently. Make sure your doctor is following your PSA, your prostate-specific antigen, especially if there's a family history of prostate cancer. And especially in the first 3 months, pay attention to symptoms that could signify a clot. New leg swelling, chest pain, shortness of breath, coughing up blood, and get evaluated immediately if any of those things occur. Again, testosterone isn't a vitamin. It's not benign. It's not without potential risk. Don't fly solo without guidance. Don't get it from sketchy online sources or from an overly casual provider who minimizes or downplays the potential risk. If you're considering testosterone replacement, see your doctor and have the basics done. Discuss the pros, the cons, the risk, and the potential benefits, and make the decision decision for testosterone replacement or not with qualified input and guidance. If you didn't catch this last video about who should be cautious with creatine supplementation, be sure to watch it next. As always, thanks for watching, and please share this video with someone you feel would benefit from watching it as well. If you're new to the channel, I'm glad you're here. Subscribe and stick around for a while. Until next time, be well, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.